the Football Pod on Off the Ball in partnership with AIB, proud sponsors of the Football, Hurling and Camogie All-Ireland Club Championships. Hashtag the toughest.
Hello there, and you're very welcome along to the Football Pod with Paddy Andrews and James O'Donogue. Boys, a quieter weekend on the football front. We had a couple of Tailteann Cup preliminary quarterfinals that we're going to get to. But on the sporting front, it was certainly not quiet. We had the Munster and Leinster hurling finals. We had the athletics, the European Athletics Championships. Some iconic moments for Irish athletes over the weekend. How was your weekend?
My weekend was smashing. Nice and relaxing, just what I needed after a hectic week. Nice bit of sport.
Recovery mode for you,
Got up
Jimmy,
on a bit of Tailteann Cup. Huh?
Recovery mode for you.
It was recovery mode. I didn't feel myself until today, to be honest.
You look great today now, I have to
Don't
say.
be bluffing us, James, in the pod. You had a fairly heavy weekend.
Oh?
You don't think I do my research?
What's a heavy weekend? I'm not touching a drink for a month anyway. I'm going a month absolutely cold turkey.
It's nothing to do with drink. It's to do with the fact that Legion season was on the line at the weekend. And who stood up to bury a very important penalty?
We were 10 points up at the time. No, we were 13 points up. It was to win by 16.
Jesus Christ.
No, it was 10 points up to win by 13. We actually do need the score difference.
Yeah.
It's
all important.
It was like the good old days. Keeper went the wrong way and everything.
When was the last time you scored a goal from play?
The 90s.
Yeah, well, you're going to tell me. You actually get the date wrong if you're going off recent form for you. It was it was at the start of the county league, actually.
Okay, good.
So it wasn't
The calendar year.
It was
Paddy,
the calendar year.
Paddy, before our weekend even got going, we got a WhatsApp from James, 11 o'clock on Friday evening. I don't know if you responded. I responded straight away.
I didn't see this until earlier today. I was out on Friday.
Okay, lads, I'm doing a charity walk tomorrow. I'm just going to make an edit here. For dogs that assist kids with autism. If you have any money to spare, I'd appreciate it. A great cause, and James took part in a walk the next day. Give us a brief here, James. You raised a fair bit of funds here. Like, I'm getting constantly targeted by Roy Keane's work with Irish guide dogs on Instagram, and it's really impressive. But now you're taking on this aspect of it. It's a really, really actually nice idea. So give us a bit of a brief on this.
It is. It was Corcoran's in Clarny who organised the walk. So they were getting behind the charity this year, and they got the staff to come up with the idea, and there was a couple of staff who were obviously had this charity close to them. So it was the Autism Assistance Dogs of Ireland. So it's the dogs who actually assist the kids with autism. And they tie around them, and if they run off forever, they stand still, and they're strong enough to kind of dictate the dog or dictate the kid. But I tell you what, it is actually fascinating because the dogs, right? They're golden retrievers. They don't
savage, great dogs.
They're just an ordinary dog, messy, clumsy, playful dog. Next thing, they put the jacket on him, bang, work mode. He's like Tommy before Roadshow. He's doing the lap in the room, sniffing out any trouble for the kids.
He's mad. He's ready to rock then. Once that blazer goes on.
That's it. Like, once the jacket goes on, it is showtime. And they just have a nice relationship. So it was nice to see that and just raise a few bob for them because it's very expensive to train the dogs. So that's where the money was going to. So,
it's fantastic. Well done.
It's on my story if anybody wants to donate or if it's
it's still going now, Jimmy. Sorry, I was out of action there for a couple of days.
That's all right. I sent you a Revolut request there.
Did you? I was just seeing a notification there.
I'm joking. But no, it was nice to be involved. And the walk was unreal. I'll tell you what, we got the boat over from Rosscastle. Anyone coming down to Clarny, you have to do this, right? The boat from Rosscastle over with the Duxes. So they're the lads down by the boats. Legends.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the bird.
No, sorry, the Donald Ducks took us over. Over in the boat, he gives you the full history of the Three Lakes and the mountains and everything, all the birds, the whole shebang, right?
I've done that.
It takes an hour and a half. It's brilliant, isn't it? So it's an hour and a half over, and then you can walk or cycle from Lord Brandon's cottage all the way back into Kay Kearney's, where you have a few pints by the grub back into town. It is an outrageous day.
Paddy,
And,
I'm not surprised you've done
well
it
worth it.
because James
I have
O'Donogue
done it.
recommends that to everybody who asks him what to do around Killarney.
I don't know. Did you recommend it to me, Jimmy? I think we just did it one of the days. We were down there a
Beautiful,
couple of
wasn't it?
summers ago, and it was off the charts weather. It was about 20 degrees. It was.
That does
I got
help.
scalded out in the lake there, but it was beautiful.
Okay. So that was
Killarney,
James's
I told you,
weekend.
magic.
James's
Jimmy, I
weekend.
sent
he
you
was-
that few bob there. Sorry, as I said, I was caught up with a couple of things over the
Thanks,
weekend.
Paddy.
He was saving his club and he was raising money for
Excellent.
kids. Paddy
And
Andrews, how was
recovering
your weekend?
himself.
How was your weekend, Paddy?
I wasn't as altruistic as that now, I have to say. It was,
Neither was I, to be fair.
we had a good old day Friday, catching up with old friends. Saturday, same boat as Jimmy, recovery mode. No charity work, I'm afraid, unfortunately, this weekend for me. But I'll make up for it next weekend.
Brilliant. Okay. That's that.
What about you, Tom? Surely you were at the hurling. The hurling was bang average, wasn't it? 6 out of 10.
Both games.
Yeah,
The Leinster
6.5
final was
out
a
of 10.
disaster.
Yeah,
Leinster
Saturday
final
was
wasn't
poor.
great.
I had to watch the Leinster final back now. I'm on a journey from a 24 handicap to, I don't know where I'm going to end up, maybe 23 in the golf. I had a very enjoyable little bit of time with a couple of friends down in Clare.
You're not getting bang for your buck there, Tom, because the amount of time you're spending in that golf course, you should be
I
at
know,
a
man.
minimum
I know.
or maximum.
Going backwards to you need to like sports psychologist or something like.
I know.
I don't know what it is.
But look, I'm playing with Paddy. I think we're playing in about 10 days' time at a little gig.
Oh,
with
we are.
United
Sorry,
down the
yes, we are.
So
we are.
Paddy,
we are.
Paddy, I'm looking forward to seeing.
Are we out together?
what you think of
Are
my
we out
progression.
together?
I don't know. I feel sorry
Okay.
for you.
I
if
need
you're
to
with me.
give you a little bit of a pep talk. It's a
Yeah,
have you played that course before?
No,
It's no joke.
so,
Like,
yeah, I've been
could be a long day, T.
downloading a
K
guide.
Club, is it?
Yeah. So we'll come back to that. But yeah, Munster final was weird. A power cut, lads. The players, like Tommy Walsh was in full flow before the game on radio. Cut off halfway through his preview. And if it affected Tommy Walsh, it must have affected the players on the pitch. Because just before they were about to go behind the band and do the march before the game started, the news came through, 30-minute delay, players back into the dressing rooms. And funny enough game, Limerick obviously making history again, 6 in a row, an awesome outfit. 14 finals, 16 finals, John Kiley has won. Yeah.
Limerick were so much better. Do you know what I mean? And of all the teams in the last couple of years, Clare have always given them the best game. Obviously, earlier on in the championship as well, like for 50 minutes, Clare were wiping them, and Limerick then just go bananas and end up winning that game as well. But just right from the get go, Limerick were just like, we're winning this game. Why
If Clare got the goal, though, the centre forward, if he got the goal after
Matt Rogers had
50
2 good
odd.
chances, yeah. That's it. You got to take.
Still, Jimmy, I don't know.
Yeah, no, they were different.
Limerick are untouchable here, lads. I know Kilkenny were better the other night against the Dubs, but Dubs weren't great. Like, but
Garrod
can't see
Haggerty, right?
near Limerick.
Garrod Haggerty,
He's an
so
animal.
impressive, unbelievable animal, man of the match, brilliant player, always awesome. How many possessions did he get?
Don't know.
Jimmy,
Got man of the match. How many possessions? Go on.
5, 1-4.
10.
You fucking lowballed me. 10. I thought 10 was still so. 2. Man of the match.
Great call. I'm talking like uber efficiency here, Jimmy. If he was
Well,
that
10
good, he'd have
possessions.
got 1-4 from 5 balls.
But like, it's a different game. You have to really make the most of what you get in hurling, not just
sure.
you don't get a lot of it.
Yeah.
Man, poor little
fairness.
Keane Lynch didn't really get into it, did he?
No, but the thing about Limerick is, and they're missing so many players through injury at the minute. Peter Casey, Sean Finn. I'm missing 2 or 3 there. Keane Lynch obviously didn't have a great day, but Haggerty got man of the match. 4 or 5 of the Limerick team could have got man of the match. Like the half back line were all off the charts.
Backline were off the
Right.
charts.
You know, young Shane O'Brien had a
I'm
great
chatting
impact.
to a young man involved in that team there who listens to the pod.
Okay.
Yeah.
He mightn't listen
so
anymore now that you mentioned that.
He might not. See, the only reason he listens to this fucking pod is because we don't talk about hurling. And we
So
just
we leave it there.
burn it. So we've
leave
lost
it at
another listener there, lads.
And
And
also,
that's before we even get into more shit we end up talking. But
Okay,
anyway,
this week on the pod, right?
is this live? You're live. You're on air.
Oh,
Sorry,
lads,
Please do not
Totally.
swear.
I've totally buried the lead here. I've absolutely buried the lead. Right?
Go on.
There's 3 parts to this pod. We're going to get stuck into the Tailteann Cup in a minute. James, I know you've got a brilliant minute of madness for us on the action at the weekend that you've already delivered for AIB. We're going to look at the All-Ireland series, the final round of games. I only want you to pick out a game each We're going to look at it on our members pod more in depth later in the week. And then later on in the pod is going out tonight at around midnight. There's an embargo on this. Some of the journalists will have it in the papers tomorrow. There'll be loads of different pieces on this. We were at a press briefing with the Football Review Committee on Friday. It was behind closed doors, only a couple of us at it. And Jim Gavin presented alongside Seamus Kenny and Shane Flanagan, who are involved in the committee, what they're looking at bringing into play for the 2025 season. Really impressive stuff. I'm going to fill you two boys in. You two boys are going to hear it before anyone else that was in that room tonight on the pod. So I hope you're excited for it. That's a little later. But I buried the lead.
Wasn't.
Thursday night, we released tickets for our roadshow in Croke Park on Thursday the 25th of July. And Friday evening, they were sold out. Just want to say, boys, well
24
done.
hours.
It was less. It was actually a couple of pre-sale links went out on the Thursday night. They went live at 20 to 12 on Friday during the day, and they were sold out at 6:30 that evening.
Sold out.
Maybe 7. Huge thanks to everybody who's come back to watch us. A lot of people were at last year's show in Croke Park with Paul Gavin and Keane O'Sullivan. Got a lot of messages saying not going to miss this after last year's crack. And obviously there's going to be a lot of new people coming along as well. Really excited to hear everybody and see everyone at it. We obviously have no idea who the All-Ireland finalists are going to be, which is actually pretty cool. Like, I have no idea what our guests are going to be.
I have no idea who's going to be in it. Yeah.
Lads, don't ruin the
I
year.
have the guests lined up already. I know. I've asked a couple of guests on already.
Okay, that's good.
Maybe the ticket prices were too low if it sold out that quick.
Nah, I don't think that had anything to do with it, to be honest.
You could turn into the Super Bowl. Charge $1,000 a ticket. Really go get the man going.
People have enough to do that week. All Ireland final tickets up to £100. They'll be there on
just a
Sunday.
Thursday night. Wow, okay. That's a big couple
the
of
thing
days
is,
there.
James, you're obviously coming up that week, right? And you've got the Friday night, then you're going to have a reunion of sorts that we mentioned last week with the Kerry 2014 team and the 94 winners and the 84 winners. We're going to have to find something for you to do maybe Saturday to keep you up there, because if Kerry aren't in the All-Ireland, it's going to be a long weekend for you.
Up for the match.
Saturday, bit of shopping.
Okay, maybe.
I can't believe it's reunion time for that. Jesus, that makes me feel so old.
They're getting on, man. That's the gig.
Reunion. I'm still like 28.
There you go. The Football Pod Live, back in Croke Park, Thursday the 25th of July. We're brought on the road with thanks to AIB, proud sponsor of the Senior Football Championship. You can check out #TheToughest for more, and Off the Ball, who power the show here, the Football Pod. So thanks to everybody who's listening in and tuning in and coming to our roadshows. It's brilliant. We love them. This weekend, 4 more teams were knocked out of action from the All-Ireland and Tailteann Cup Championships. On Saturday evening, Limerick put Tipperary to the sword. A sorry season for Tipperary. Paul Kennedy has finished up an 8-point win. Wicklow, Oisin McConville's Wicklow, but Andy Moran's Leitrim. I was live on GA Go, 215 to 111. A really impressive second half, really, from Wicklow. Dragged them over the line. And then on Sunday, we had London up against Antrim. A late win for Antrim in that game, Andy McEntee's side. And then Laois just about held off New York. James, what was your recollection of the weekend's action? The Limerick result that stood out to you?
Yeah, I thought, in fairness, 4 interesting results. Obviously, the fact that Andy lost to McConville was interesting, but the result that stood out to me was the Limerick one, because they got an absolute dusting off Down in the first round of the Tailteann and have improved every week, which is what the Tailteann Cup is for. It's so you're not knocked out and then you get worse and worse and worse. You get your result and you have a couple more games and you grow into it, and now they're into the quarterfinal. And then you look at Tip, who won 1 of their 4 games and didn't really get that kick on or that momentum. So I just thought that the differing journeys that those 2 teams had was interesting. And because I'll be honest, I wouldn't have backed Limerick to get into the last 8 of the Tailteann at the start.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Actually, Paul Kelly, the Dublin native, has stepped down over Tipperary. He was appointed very, very late, and has stepped down now in June as manager. He was originally appointed on a 3-year term, but he stepped down, hampered by players dropping out ahead of the campaign, big name injuries throughout the year. It's been a very difficult year for him, but he, reflecting on the year, said the biggest thing for Tipperary is strength and conditioning and getting a proper strategy in place with their footballers over the next 3 years. Limerick have got a lot right in that regard, and it's evident actually when you've watched them over the last few years. So that's obviously a big difference.
But
You
even
mentioned-
I reckon the hurlers like would transfer a bit over. Like they can see the work that's being done with the hurling, and then the footballers must be saying, "Give us a bit of that," because you could even see when Andy took over Leitrim. Do you remember his main thing was, "I need to sort out everything: strength and conditioning, diet, nutrition." Like they're starting at almost at the bottom.
Yeah.
So like any small change there from there makes a massive difference.
Paddy, I'll put it to you about that, just starting from where they were at and where they're at now. So Leitrim are knocked out. But on the whole...
surprised.
Yeah. But like we're looking at a Wicklow team here, like there was never really going to be anything in that game.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was kind of unsure. Wicklow started slow in the Tailteann Cup, obviously after the winning the Leinster Championship, and very nearly and probably should have beaten Kildare that day down in Portlaoise as well. So, look, the Tailteann Cup has thrown up a couple of funny results, but you see the teams have a bit of momentum now. Maybe that gap between losing the provincial championship and starting the Tailteann Cup took teams a little bit of time to find their feet. But on the strength and conditioning side, I know it can really get a bad rep, maybe more established teams are accused of spending too much time on that side of things and they're not dedicating to the skills and all that side of things. And we all know examples even in club where players are so we've spoken about it before, overly committed to the gym and they're not really working on skills and things like that as well. But at senior inter-county level, whether it's Tailteann Cup or obviously in the All-Ireland series, it's so fundamental to have the physique, the aerobic capacity, the physicality to play 70, 75 minutes in these games. And you see the difference where teams, maybe more younger teams, are starting out in that journey and they go up against someone established. We spoke about it with Offaly, obviously a very young team with Declan Kelly, a lot of those younger players. You can see just in looking at them, these look like kids playing against the likes of Louth or Dublin. We're far more further down the tracks. But you see probably that a bit more in the Tailteann Cup. But the surprising thing with Tip, obviously, comments like that, it's only 4 years ago, they were the Munster champions. I know it was a COVID season as well, but there was a team who was running all Ireland semi-final. I think
that was their All-Ireland. That Munster title was like their All-Ireland because the chance of them going on to win the All-Ireland was so low that they'd almost reach such a level.
But you know what I mean?
Said, in terms of into this now.
You have a base of work done for. I know there's been big turnover in players as well, and 4 years could be a long time at inter-county level as well. I do understand that, but it's very, very difficult. And I remember having this conversation with Andy, was taking the Leitrim gig. You have to get that in place. It takes time to do it, but not to the detriment of your skills and your tactics and all that side of things as well. But it's so critical just to be able to compete physically with teams in the championship, week on week, in the games, and particularly as you move up to divisions. We see it at the start of all the provincial championships. Every season we're talking about this. A Division 3 team plays the Division 2 or Division 1 team, and maybe for 35 or 40 minutes they can stick with it. But the final quarter, they end up just being blown away. They just can't physically keep up with it. So it's an area, if you're taking a team very much at the start of their journey with younger players or big turnover in kind of inexperienced players, even if they're older players, but they haven't been involved in inter-county setups, it does take time to build players up to be able to deal with it, because it can make such a difference if a team just physically can't compete. You're right up against it.
If you were taking a job like that, and say you were kind of a high profile manager, you could nearly say, "Look, I'll take it in 12 months' time. Sort this side of it first, and then I'll take him," because it's like if you're not up,
if you're not
anywhere near that
Jimmy,
level, I know, but it has to be there after a manager, and after the next manager, and after the next manager. Do you know what I mean? If it just falls away with one manager, then it's up and down every 2 years. It's like the county board nearly has to start that, isn't it?
Yeah. Beyond an individual coach.
Yeah. Sorry, Tom. Go on.
From the Tipperary Cork game in 2020, turnover is obviously huge. 3 players started the Tailteann Cup defeat to Limerick and that final against Cork. That is stark, lads, and like not a lot of them are retirements. Like a lot of them are players stepping away or
moving away.
Yeah, or players moving or doing different things. It was
4 years, post-COVID as well. Obviously, people had a lot of different priorities and things after that. So
they beat us in a 21s final, and they won a minor in Ireland.
They did.
Bet Dublin. Bet Dublin in 2011 final.
11. Yeah.
So they were producing, and anyone they produced, they didn't let many slip away. they made a good hack of getting them all through.
Seems like Tip are just in a tough place, are they? Even on the hurling side, I know. Just seems like hurling and football seems to be bad couple of years for them there now.
Yeah. So you never know. Sometimes it can turn very, very quickly. So that's the point I wanted to make. Sorry about the Tailteann Cup was, and you're looking at the likes of Leitrim there and Tipperary who are knocked out. Now maybe Tipperary's year is a bit different, but if you look at Leitrim, they got promotion this year, and you're trying to close the gap.
Isn't it? Yeah.
You're trying to close the gap on the teams ahead of you. Like that Leitrim side have played 7 regular league games. They've played a league final. They've played a Connacht Championship game against a team of their level that they lost, and they've played 3 group games and are now a knockout game in the Tailteann Cup. That's 14 games of football. In previous years, you would have had your 7 league games, 1 Connacht game where you got hammered, 1 qualifier game. Like they're playing football for 5 or 6 weeks longer compared to other teams. Like the gap will be closed eventually with competitions like the Tailteann Cup, and we may not get a huge amount of time every week to cover it, given the amount of football that's happening. We barely even cover half the All-Ireland Series games, but the competition, I think, is doing its job, and it is actually allowing teams to close the gap.
Definitely.
Yeah, so the draw, and just to get into the draw now, before we move on to the All-Ireland Series for the quarter-final, these are all taking place next weekend. We have a couple of tasty matchups here. We've got Fermanagh against Antrim and Brewster Park. We've got Sligo against Limerick and Markievicz Park. Downer at home to Wicklow and Park Esther, so a tough draw for Oisin McConville's side after beating Leitrim. And then on Sunday, we've got Kildare against Laois in Tullamore. 2 teams that are going to be playing Division 3 football next year. Be interesting to see what goes on in that game on Sunday. That's
Where's that Kildare
game? Are you
game?
covering the Kildare game? Is in Tullamore on Sunday. What are you covering at the weekend, Paddy?
We're Cork, Tyrone and Tullamore on Saturday, and then Breffni Park for Monaghan Mead. Straight shootout.
Yeah.
Why is the Kildare game on Tullamore?
They have nominated it as their home venue. So rather than play it in Carlow, or they have no home pitch at the moment, and that's the one they're going to.
That's a leveler. It's a leveler for Laois, I thought.
For sure. Lads, we're going to take a quick break on the football pod. Then we're going to be back looking at 2 of the games this weekend. It's a huge weekend in round 3 of the All-Ireland Series, and then we're going to bring you through some of the new rules that are on the table from Jim Gavin's FRC. We're back right after this. All right, you're very welcome back to the football pod with Paddy Andrews and James O'Donogue. Lads, we're heading into the final round of action in the round robin series. Sometimes this season it's felt like it's dragged a bit at times. I haven't been in the overly negative camp, but we're heading into a weekend now. I don't know where you boys have been, but we're heading into a weekend now where last year it all came alive. In the final moments of a number of games, there was a play in each one that could have decided the fate of a county and put them in a different position. This weekend we've got something that matters in every game, which is obviously should happen when 16 of 24 teams go through. So, or even more, isn't it? Yes.
There's only four get knocked out.
Yeah, 20 of 24 teams go through. So, Derry Westmeath, Saturday night. That's a playoff to go through. Roscommon Cavan, Saturday evening at 5 o'clock. That's a playoff to go through in 3rd place. Donegal Clare in Castlebar is on at 3 o'clock. It's on the same time as Tyrone and Cork. Clare are fighting for their lives. If they beat Donegal, they go through. Donegal, Tyrone and Cork are playing for a playoff to finish in 1st, 2nd and 3rd. So
if Clare beat Donegal, they'll actually knock Donegal out. Is that right?
Yeah.
Depending on the... Yeah, they will.
Yeah, they will. Donegal
through head-to-heads, yeah. No, well, if Cork beat Tyrone as well. But if Cork beat Tyrone as well, that leaves Tyrone and Donegal both on 2, which means Tyrone will go out.
Score difference.
Tyrone will lose the head-to-head to Donegal.
Tyrone are ahead. Well, they'll all have 3 of them will have 2, so it'll go score difference, yeah.
Score difference, yeah.
Sorry, okay.
Yeah, so Clare would need a huge win to swing that. Clare minus
don't
16.
see that one. I don't see it.
Clare minus 16, Donegal 5.
Yeah, you're right. Clare needs it.
So that would be it, yeah. So
Clare are gone.
Tyrone and Cork then is the other one to play off. We might come back to that in a moment. And then on Sunday, we have got Dublin and Mayo, which is a shootout for 1st position. In the same group, we've got Monaghan and Meath that you're covering, Paddy. That is to get 3rd place in the group. Louth and Kerry, again, a playoff for 1st position. And then we've got, that's in the same group as Monaghan and Meath, Galway and Armagh in the other game. at 1:45 in Markievicz Park, that's a playoff or a shootout for that first place, which we know is so important to get that first place and a home, like a quarter final in 2 weeks' time, that break. What game do you want to touch on here?
Armagh Galway is definitely the biggest game of the weekend. Two good teams.
Yeah.
Same fixture as last year.
They have, yeah.
Yeah, same fixture as last year. Both teams want that number one spot. Like, they can put it all on the line here because they get a week off and they can dictate their season. If you're going into another pot after losing that, because they're both on a high at the moment after 2 wins, you've got to keep that momentum going. If they lose this game, they're back into another pot to go into a draw. You know, a surprise game nearly only in a week's time. I think there's so much on the line in this game. The winner has a phenomenal chance of going so far in the competition, like into the final. Like, I think you have a great chance if you can top your group. You have such a huge chance. If you don't, the odds are against you. Like, this game is key for both of them.
It's on a knife edge, Paddy. Who would you guess are favourites at the moment?
It's hard to know because you could say arguably Galway's two best players are not available for them. And look, this has been the team of their season. It's not as bad as it was earlier in the season. We obviously spoke about that a lot, where they had catastrophic injuries for 10, 15 players. They had a window there, and that's coincided with this form in terms of winning the Connacht Championship, sealing qualification through the group, and then the injuries have started to come back again. Of all the teams, you think they don't want to have an extra game, and playing week on week on week. So it's a tough one for them. If Comer and Kelly were available, and what they've done over the last kind of 4 weeks, I'd probably have them as slight favourites over Armagh, but they're not going to be available. And that, you have to say, like, look at the big performance of the championship so far. It was probably Donegal against Derry on the opening night, and then you look at what Armagh did last week against Derry. You know, Derry are kind of not the same Derry we were talking about 2 or 3 months ago, but Armagh's performance shows when they go after teams, they are a serious outfit. And that's the question mark for them this week when they play Galway. It has this team kind of learned lessons over the last couple of years to kind of back themselves in the bigger games. We'd always said they're really good at dispatching the teams you'd expect them to beat, but then they played the likes of a Galway or a Derry, whoever it might have been over the last number of years, and they'd go back into their shells. Monaghan last year in the All-Ireland quarter-final. They went on the offensive against Derry, they smelt blood, and they showed how lethal they can be. I think there's an opportunity for them as well. And I agree. I think if you are going to win the All-Ireland, I know this is only the second iteration of this, but if you're really have aspirations of winning this thing, you probably need to top your group and just have one less game, one less week to deal with. And without a doubt, in both those camps, they are saying themselves as we've got a chance to get to an All-Ireland final here. So it is a massive game, even though both teams are through already. The carrot of winning the group and everything that brings, but in terms of the favourable draws and that sort of things, I think it's a big one. But Galway, without two of their absolute talismanic leaders in Comer and Sean Kelly, it's a big ask for them to win that game in the context of what we've seen over the last couple of weeks.
Like, there's going to be, say they do come second, there's going to be some decent sides finishing third.
Yeah.
John, like, so
that's happened last year to me. You get a really bad draw as well. Whatever about the extra game, you could get a horrible draw as well.
You could get a Tyrone or Donegal, or you could get Roscommon or Cavan to probably back themselves in that. But I agree. I think it's the week off is the main thing. You just need time to focus and take in what's happening and just kind of regroup, because if you're just running around on top of your head, which is what you're doing week on week on week on week, you're not really learning from any of the games, just kind of going on to the next one. Whereas if you can take stock, improve on a few things, see who's coming down the line, and plan accordingly, I think massive. Yeah, I agree with your synopsis of Galway. If they're not full strength, they're the one team that we always say they need their best fellas playing their best football, and if their best fellas aren't even on the field, Armagh should be smelling blood here.
Yeah, Armagh are missing a few players as well. They lost Kieran McIntyre, cruciate, Conor O'Neill, one of their defenders, to an Achilles injury. They have another injury that I'm missing now in the back of my head as well. Andrew Murnan was missing the last day too.
But honestly, you just wonder with Armagh, with that win and the manner of that win against there, is that a seminal moment for this team? Is it a light bulb moment, just going, we are good enough to go after teams? no matter who it's against, that are we kind of said, let's park all that other stuff. We've lost too many of these tight games. Is it maybe a response to the Ulster final and the heartbreak of that? Is it the fact that Derry were kind of wounded and Armagh could smell blood? Or is it they've just decided as a group going, we have a team good enough to take out a lot of teams. Let's back ourselves to do it. And if they go in with that mentality and that attitude, they are a handful for anyone. And I think that's what you learn from Sunday in that game against Galway. Armagh going in with the chest out and going, yeah, we're going after Galway today. And that they can be a very, very dangerous team if that is their approach.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned the strength of the teams that could be finishing in certain positions in this group. This is an interesting one. If Derry happen to get the job done against Westmeath and results go the way you would expect them to go, their likely opponents will be Louth, if Kerry beat them, who'll be second in the group. It will be either Tyrone or Donegal, because Cork are either going to finish first or third, or it will be Dublin or Mayo. So you're in a situation there where Derry, in a lot of senses, given the history that's there with Mickey Hart and Louth and what happened last year, what are Derry hoping for there in a preliminary quarter-final? They'll be away to any of those teams. So you're away to Louth, away to Toronto, Donegal,
I'll tell
away
you
to Dublin or Mayo.
what they're hoping for, Tommy, is to fucking win a game. Like, they forget about preliminary quarter-finals and all that other stuff. Go and perform against Westmeath or get somewhere back to the levels that you showed 7, 8, 10, 12 weeks ago. That's the first thing Derry have to do. They cannot. They have lost the right to be looking beyond teams, be looking beyond Westmeath or looking beyond we'd like to get. And I know they won't be. You know, Mickey Hart, those players, they're experienced enough. Even though they've had a backup once, they just need to go. We need to perform against Westmeath. What they've delivered over the last 6 weeks in the championship has not been anywhere near good enough or what they expected themselves. So don't be worrying about potential opponents down the road. They're too long in the tooth for that. Perform against Westmeath and give yourselves the opportunity. And we said it last week talking about Derry. It's been a disaster in the championship, but the underlying quality is there in that team, and it can turn very, very quickly. And Saturday is about that for them. I can't, even as bad as it has been, I think I keep the word, expect a response from Derry, but that has to be, their season is on the line here. Shit or get off the pot, and I think they get a performance.
I agree. I can't help though get excited about that though. Like we heard and we know, we saw it in Mulligan at our live pod a couple of weeks ago. Imagine Mickey Hart had to take Derry to Omagh, or he had to take him down to Inniskeen or RD to face Louth. You know, or he had to go to Ballybuffet to take on
Omagh is
Donegal.
the one.
Omagh is the one.
That
Derry
would
taking
be
on Tyrone.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Do you know who Derry remind me of a tiny bit, and not in the same level of team at all, right? But Kerry in 09. Do you remember when they were going through an awful period? They were
Sligo,
in the Antrim, Sligo. Diarra Murphy saved a penalty to be beaten at home by Sligo. And next thing, they drew Dublin in the quarterfinal. And they all just went, right, let's get our fucking shit together here now. This is big. And
the only difference with that, Jimmy, is that Kerry team, all are the champions in 06, 07, beating the final year before. They'd won all the All-Irelands and stuff. It is. But I agree, there's similarities. I think Derry have players who are of the highest quality that a win can just kind of lift the weight off and go, okay, we're still in this thing. We've got a chance. And of all those teams that come second in the group, Derry's the bad draw for them. They don't want to play Derry either. No. So whatever about Derry are going to have a tough draw. Nobody is hoping that draw next Monday morning, and it's like, Derry are coming to town. Like,
but this is the one they need to get over. Beat Westmeath, which is not a gimme by any means. Westmeath have result in them as well. They need to beat Westmeath any way they can. And then I think they need that big draw. I think they need that Tyrone.
Yeah.
They need a load away, and maybe not so much, but definitely the Tyrone one would get their juices flowing big style.
For sure. I think we'll all be keeping an eye on that draw. Am I right to be excited for Dublin and Mayo this weekend? I'm excited for two reasons. I'm excited to see whether there's actually a kick in this Mayo team, whether there is a side here who could challenge, and they don't have to necessarily beat Dublin to do that, but it's putting in a proper performance and pushing them all the way. I'm also excited to see how true to form Dublin's results have been. They've obviously beaten Meath, Offaly, Louth, Roscommon and Cavan. Impressive in lots of ways in all the games. Some of the games were big score lines, other of the games where they just about got over the line. So I'm really excited to see how good Dublin are right now. Am I wrong to be excited for this game in the Hyde on Sunday?
It's kind of gone completely under the radar now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like Dublin, you think of Dublin-Mayo over the last 10 plus years. No matter how well or bad either team is going, it's still a big story around it. But it just seems to be, maybe just like I said, the games are so congested, there's so many different games on. There's probably, both teams are true, so there's probably bigger storylines from the weekend. But I think for both sides, it's their biggest test of the season. So I think you get definitely a better reflection of where teams are at. Mayo, we've been kind of critical of Mayo. They've done what they've had to do. Like, you know, okay, we spoke of the Connacht final. Very, very tight, borderline referee decisions coming down the last 2 or 3 minutes. And Mayo win the Connacht Championship. And it's maybe a different narrative around their season. They've been professional in both their jobs in the group in terms of beating Cavan and Roscommon. It wasn't a great game against Roscommon, but they were the better team. They're in the Hyde. I think there'll be a big crowd at this. I think there's potential to be a very, very good game. Yeah, but it's definitely, in terms of what we know over the last number of years of Dublin-Mayo, it's definitely gone under the radar a bit. But I think you'll know a hell of a lot more about both of those teams come 5:30 Sunday evening, because it's their biggest test for both sides by some distance in the championship.
I think the fact it's on in the Hyde is a leveler. Like, if this was on in Croke Park, I would be saying Dublin by 8 minimum. I think that the fact it's not on in Croke Park is a big help to Mayo. But Dublin are on a different level. Dublin are just on a different level. I can't see them being caught in this one. I can see them winning it in a tight game. It'll be a nice atmosphere down there. Mayo will be up for it, but I can see Dublin just having enough to hold them off, and then Dublin will really kick on afterwards, I think.
Okay.
I don't see there's enough. There's not enough danger in the Mayo team or something. Especially without Dirk.
What you mean?
Like, I don't know. They're just missing they're missing a tool in the armory. It just doesn't strike fear in you. I get used to there was stuff coming from everywhere. The
threats everywhere, yeah.
Midfield, there'd be a goal going in from God knows where, and next thing the crowd is on you. I just don't think that the attacking danger is there outside of Ryan O'Donogue.
But what I do want to see, and I know Dublin have kind of cruised for the last couple of games, but Dublin have been very, very open in these games against Roscommon the first eight, even the first quarter against Cavan the last end. They won the game comfortably both times, but does McStay kind of gamble with this? They could see it. I was pitch side for the Cavan. It was an absolute clear tactic. It was launch the ball. Once you get the ball, you know, anywhere around halfway line, kick the ball, launch it into the full forward line, because Dublin will leave. Will there be spaces there? So does McStay? Is he kind of brave again? Probably didn't work as much as he would have liked the last day in playing Cillian O'Connor and Aidan O'Shea, and he took Conroy out. Does he say, let's put Aidan O'Shea at 14 and have Ryan O'Donoghue and Tommy Conroy or Cillian O'Connor inside to keep the guys in and just launch ball in there? I think Dublin will be prepared to face this challenge, because it's definitely an area teams are focusing on. And you're getting to the stage now in these games from a Dublin perspective where the margin for error with that gets less and less and less as the quality of the opposition comes up against it. So I expect at some stage to see that from Mayo. What does McStay do with his team? Obviously, there was a couple of changes the last day. And from Dublin side of things, the kind of takeaway from the Cavan game, big impact off the bench. Guys are really, really fighting for jerseys now. Colin Pascal and these fellas. Does Desi kind of make change? We haven't seen James McCarthy in a while. Is he back or not? So there is a bit of story around that game, but I think we learn a lot from Sunday evening from both of those sides.
The thing with Dublin as well is, like, you have to have, I think to beat Dublin, you need to have a brilliant full forward line, or at least a brilliant full forward line player that can set the world alight that one day and get maybe 2-1 or 1-4 for players, something that outside the box. You also need to have 6 marking defenders. Like, that's what people don't realise. It's Dublin are going to play six going forwards.
Yeah.
So, like, you need both. Like, you need to get fellas tight and marking, even in the half back line. And that's another side to Mayo that I just don't think is there. I don't think they'll get bodies back and they'll hang in there for 50, 55. I can just see Dublin pulling away maybe by 3 or 4 in the end. But if it was on in Croke Park, I think there'd be another 4 or 5 points in it.
Okay.
What do you think, Tom?
I think I'll save my prediction for our members pod on Wednesday. So we've got time then to go through the Tailteann Cup quarterfinals and the 8 final round games in that. So that'll be later in the week. We'll get stuck into that, and I'm sure we'll see loads of our listeners there as well on Wednesday afternoon. So looking forward to that. I do want to bring you inside room 647 in Croke Park on Friday morning.
Oh.
I was privy to a presentation from members of the FRC, the Football Review Committee. I suppose an update on where they're at. They're trying to do things in a very short time frame. Very significant things with Gaelic football. They're doing it in a really good way. It's very impressive the manner in which they're going about their business, but they're trying to do so without making too much of a distraction on the rest of the All Ireland series, because the ideas they have are very interesting, and I suppose they've got to get them through in the right manner. They've got to get them to Ardcorla for November so that it goes to Special Congress, and that hopefully some of these rules will be put through for the start of January 2025. So,
is there a deadline on them that they need to start for the start of next year? Like, is it? They wouldn't bring him in for like March. It would have to be 1st of January.
No, that's the plan right now. The FRC's plan is that these rules will be in for the whole season from the 1st of January 2025, and they'll be trialled then and examined across the year. So, will we
Give
get
us
into
a pick
this?
of them.
Give you the pick of them, right? So I'll just go through sort of what's behind all this. So what they're looking to do is make Gaelic games the most enjoyable amateur game in the world to watch and play. So that is their kind of guiding principle throughout. And one of the big things that you could get from listening to Jim Gavin in this presentation the last day and the team that he's got around them is they're looking to enhance the rules that are currently there. They're not looking to rip up the script completely, but what they are proposing is radical in a really positive sense. So there's a couple of things that you may have heard through the grapevine over the last couple of weeks. John Fogarty had a piece in the Examiner a few weeks ago, and this would have came from, I suppose, one of the meetings that they would have had. They would have met all the stakeholders across the association, from Central Council to county chairs to Cush to Banistee, the referees over the last few weeks. They've met the World GA, they met the press last Friday, and they've put their work together in front of them. So these are proposals that have been collated from the survey that they put out. So they actually had 6,000 respondents from across the country. So there's actually another 2 weeks left in that survey. So I'll tweet out that link. And if anybody wants to have their say, they can. This survey, they're taking it on board. Gavin actually has a folder in his work bag with all of the responses in it. Some of them highlighted, some of them not. And they are looking to get as many responses as they possibly can. It's interesting looking at the survey that they've had so far. A lot of players, people that have responded to the survey, are current players and coaches from club level all the way up to county level. A lot of people between the ages of 31 to 60, so people who are actively involved in the game. And that's just the kind of the table setter there. Over the next 8 weeks, they're looking to put some of these proposed rules into action. And the manner in which they're doing this, so it's a very tight window. So they obviously can't use club games. They obviously can't use inter-county games. So what they're doing is any player that's been knocked out of the inter-county championships and isn't going to the States, they're going to get them together on a Saturday so it doesn't impact their club prep for some exhibition games where these are going to be played behind closed doors, and they're going to examine these games. So you can pick out the Longford footballers, Leitrim footballers, Waterford footballers, Tipperary footballers, some of the All-Ireland teams that will be knocked out this weekend, the likes of maybe Meath or Monaghan or Roscommon or a Cavan.
In Croker, where are they going to play those games?
They're going to be played around the country. Different ones. There's ones up north, ones in the Midlands, some in the south. I think some of the media will be invited to one later on, so I'll get to see some of them in action and I can report back. So what they've done is they're focusing on various aspects. I'm not going to go through everything here, but some of them that I'll give you an example that they're looking to fix. Jim Gavin's a regulator, right? He's a big man for the rule book, Paddy. I'm sure that you would have saw this when you were playing underneath him for all those years. And they want to fix some of the rules that aren't being applied. So there's a lot of common sense that's happening here. I'll give you one of them, just an example of this. When a ball is thrown in at the start of a game, what happens?
There's a lot of horsing around the place.
A lot of boys holding each other, horsing around. There's fouls, basically. So they want to stop the 2v2 and make it a 1v1. So that, like, that foul is not being regulated. A lot of people are complaining about the inconsistencies of the rule book and all that sort of stuff. So that's one thing they're going to clean up. A suggestion to make that a 1v1. They want to see that in action. That's one. They want to look at the kick out, and they're proposing that the kick outs will be taken from the 5 metre box as they used to be back in the day, which will increase contests, which is what people are looking for. But the most interesting stuff is stuff around scoring and shooting and rewarding certain skills. So this was one that stood out to me, and you might have heard this before. They're looking to bring in a new scoring arc, which would be around 40 metres out from the goal, so in between the D and the 45, and it would go halfway across the field. If you can picture that 20 metre line. So that D would be coming from halfway across that 20 metre line on one side of the pitch, all the way across to the other side of the pitch. So basically a bigger D, and there'd be a 40 metre zone there where you'd be rewarded with 2 points for a score outside of that. The bit of detail that was new on Friday is that they're looking to increase the worth of a goal to 4 points at the same time. So I'm going to put that out to you. I'm not sure what you make of that, but I think that would reward attacking football and could make for a more exciting game.
Well, you'd never kick a point again inside the scoring zone, so it wouldn't be worth it. They did have to. I was worried about the goal. All right, when they said they were going to increase the shots from outside, I was like, those poor corner forwards are going to be like hurling corner forwards, where the ball is just being shot over their head. So I think the 4 points is important. I didn't think of it myself, but that is actually a good aspect, I think, to add on, because the corner forwards, let's face it, like, they're the most important on the field. Like, there's no messing around.
Agreed.
You've got to get the ball into the corner forwards.
Give it to the marquee lad.
But no, it's interesting. 2 points for a score, I think would definitely cut out a lot of the blanket defense, the deep blanket defense. And they'd actually complement each other. The more 2 point scores you get, the more goal chances you get off it. The more goal chances you get, the more the 2 point shot would open up. Yeah, I'm all for it, definitely.
Sure. But does increasing the goal scoring up to 4, like, does that mean teams are going to be like, I'm absolutely parking the bus now, because the goal becomes so, in tight games in the championship, like a 4 point swing is massive. I'm only just thinking, this is the first time I've heard it as well.
For sure.
And look, I'm sure they've thought of all these things. That's why, okay, if you're going to sit back loads, we'll just kick our long range points. I agree with the principles behind it. Just love to see it in action, which is obviously these trial games. You know, I'm thinking, if I'm at a match, what do I love seeing? I love seeing those outside the boot scores. I think it's a brilliant skill that gets the crowd excited. It's such a brilliant aspect of the game that it should be rewarded. So I like that. I'm just thinking, maybe the old cynical player's hat. What if there's 4 points for a goal? What are we going to do to try and stop that? Because that's why it's brilliant having all these coaches, not just Jim or Aim Fitzmaurice, Malik O'Rourke, and all these guys involved. Because you have to, if you're a coach, you are gaming the rules to your advantage, and that's why that committee and the range of people on it is so important. But
Jim didn't like it when I put that to him, gaming the rules. Do you remember back when we originally did that? But it's true.
Look,
it's true.
But look, if you're players and coaches in the game and in the championship, just thinking, what gives us the best chance to win this game? So that's just the reality of it. But look, that's exciting stuff. There's obviously, right from Jarlath Burns' first week in charge here, this was one of the big things that was launched. And you look at the caliber of people, players, coaches, everyone involved in it. It's exciting to see what these guys, they're at the pinnacle of the game in different aspects, what they come up with. So, but you know what, we kind of, you can nearly roll the eyes when this was all announced, but you're seeing tangible stuff. And I know from talking to a few people involved, and Jim himself, from knowing Jim, this will be thorough. You said it, Tommy. It's no stone is left unturned. It's exciting. You know, like, we're very negative about Gaelic football. There's still lots of brilliant stuff, and I like that we're enhancing, tweaking some things to make it even better. So it sounds good. It sounds exciting.
I'm doing a bit more. So if anyone, we're going to do a couple more minutes on this in the pod, and we'll be talking about it again. But I'm going to do a bit more on breakfast tomorrow morning, where I've actually done a deep dive on a very famous game of football, and I've put this new scoring mechanism in place to see what impact it would have had. Now, obviously, there's things you can bear in mind. I've kind of noted key moments in this game. Because what would have changed if you were getting 2 points for a score or 4 points for a goal? Like, would it have changed the mentality of a certain side? Would it have stopped a certain team in blue kicking wide after wide late on when they were chasing the lead down, if their lead was actually a lot tighter or their deficit was a lot tighter? I'm talking about the Dublin-Donegal game in 2014. Paddy, I'm just going to show you this. This is badly drawn out. Probably hard to see it here.
Do we win under the new rules now? Or do we still lose?
All be revealed tomorrow on Off the Ball Breakfast, whether or not you win or lose. But
Oh, Jim's brought this in. Like, just change the rules from that game, and we might actually win it that time.
I want to lay out one thing for you, right? And one thing from that game. Early on that day, in the first half, Dublin clearly targeted kicking from long range to beat the press. That was the thing?
Yeah.
Fair point. So there was actually 10 scores that day that would have fallen within the 2 point zone.
Wowzers.
8 of them.
So we might have won.
8 of them were for Dublin. 6 of them from Dublin were in the first half. So there's a key moment 23 minutes into this game where Dublin holds an 8-3 lead. Under the new scoring system, now Donegal flipped that on its head. So 23 minutes in, Dublin lead 8-3. But Donegal get the goal before half time and they end up leading by a point at half time, Donegal. So they come back. But under the new scoring system, Dublin would have been 14-3 up after 23 minutes. So it's a pretty interesting swing.
Donegal have 12 points for their 3 goals now.
They would have.
Donegal would have played completely differently as well. So it's very hard to look back at a game with
Tommy,
all the rules.
tell us, did we win the game or fucking not?
Kerry won the All-Ireland that year, Tommy. As much as you're trying to change it, fuck off.
Change it.
We're the champs.
Do we still... So we won 7 in a row. No, 8 in a row we won.
No, because
I like
you'd have lost 4 other ones.
I find
they
this a thoroughly enjoyable
the shot
exercise.
drop short flicked into the goal. And
do you know the one thing, James?
It's a skill. We targeted that. We knew that.
I'm regretting it because Gavin opened the floor to some of the journalists to have a say. There was 7 or 8 of us in the room and put Anton to them. And we're actually, anyone's able to get in touch. You can do the survey. I don't know if either of you boys have done the survey yet, but there's still 2 weeks to do this survey. I forgot to ask him, was he going to ban the fisted point? So I don't know yet. No, that's not on the table. It didn't come up. But you should send an email to him. I mentioned how
did you do the survey in Dubrovnik, Jimmy?
I did. I was having a lovely pint of Ojusko local beer, savage, and I sat down in a quiet corner and did the survey. 25 quid for the pint.
Final thing on this from the pod,
9-10.
because I am going to go in more depth tomorrow morning on breakfast at 9 a.m. in the morning. So if you want to watch Paddy, tune in then. Don't miss it, buddy.
I will, yeah.
I mentioned the fact that they're going to clean up the rule book and make a couple of common sense decisions. One of those is, do you know the black card at the moment? If you grab a fella and you hold on to him, it's not a black card. But if you pull him down, it's a black card. We're going to fix that. And if you cynically grab someone and hold on to them, it's a black card. The other thing is the advance mark.
Is it gone?
This is the one. No, this is the greatest rule change that they've ever come up with.
Tipped
Are
James
they bombing
off
it out?
this. No, I've tipped James off with
go
this,
on,
Paddy.
go
I'm
on.
going to put it to you. See if you're enthusiastic, James, about it. So under this new rule they're trialing, the advance mark can only happen if a kick pass is made from the 45 to inside the 21. Now hold on, this isn't the key point. So that first bit is obviously going to get rid of the tippy-tappy sideways passes that drive people crazy, the marks that Armagh turned down in that Ulster final. That's all done with, because you're going to actually have to get a bit of height in the ball and send it in.
Let's go into the 21.
45 meter pass.
I hear you.
To 21
A
meter
probing pass. I like that.
This is the key point. Essentially, that mark, if hypothetically Conor Callaghan or David Clifford catches a ball inside the 21 from a 45 meter kick pass, think of the advantage rule in rugby. They now have free rein to go for goal, because no matter what happens in that move, they've
Guaranteed
earned
a point.
a mark, a shot at the goals. So this is going to increase the chances of players
can
going,
bring it
I
back.
love this. I don't know
Pull
who
the trigger then. Just 21-yard goal shots.
And that's what we want to see. Goal shots, chances, take on your man and bury the fucking thing. Honestly, greatest. Whoever came up with that needs a raise.
So it's
if that should have been brought in 10 years ago.
It's a mark advantage. It's not an advanced mark. That is it. Lads, I just think this just shows they've got the right people in the room.
Innovation.
The right way.
I'm an ideas guy. There's no such thing as a bad idea here. Just hear me out. Somebody started that conversation, goes, just hear me out. And they fucking nailed it. Mike,
They
Murph,
nailed it with that
that's
one.
Murph. Murph must have come up with that.
So if
Full
I've explained it
forward,
correctly,
yeah. Let's go, coach.
I hope I have. You win a mark inside, you just play on. You go for goal, and if the move breaks down
And you have to go yourself, presumably. You can't pass it. You gotta go for it yourself.
I'd say you can't pass, but why would you pass? Just
Fuck the pass.
Go
You're
at
guaranteed
it.
the point.
Exactly.
Go for goal. I think you should have to go for goal. If anything, everyone else needs to stop.
Yeah, why would you?
And you have to,
You get
to take
head
your
start.
man on. You get to take your man on.
101.
Like back
Okay.
in school. But no, that is a great
The
change.
mark
I think
advantage.
I think that would lead to some great moments. Toughen the defenders if they don't stop the mark, because you could have a Conor Gormley-esque block on Stephen McDonald stopping the goal, but then it's back for the free. And it's
But the only way, right, to get the ball from a mark into the 21 is a high lofted pass.
Yeah.
Like it's very hard to get.
You could drill one in, Jimmy, a little zippy.
Outside the boot.
A driller is a one in. It's a very talented player that's going to pull that off.
I
We're
back
dealing with the
myself.
cream of the crop here. Like you got big Tommy Rooney there.
You be in the stands. You'll be after getting a black card.
Probably. That's fair. I deserve that.
No, things
But
like
I just
that. Like it is good. I like that. I like that.
Would you make a comeback, Paddy, if these rules are brought into club next year?
No chance.
Because watching
Is
back
it,
that
like
Dublin
if there's
Donegal
no
game,
contact, like go on.
that's you there. Number 50, the 15 points for Dublin that day. You kicked one of the longest range points for the Dubs.
Rakers. I was renowned for that. Like
Yeah, a beauty. You had 3 Donegal boys diving at your boot.
they could get near me.
Huge score. Would have been 2 points in nowadays. Now, there's loads of other rules. There's a few other ideas that are out there that are really good. I didn't get into the potential of keeping players inside a certain line. I didn't get into the changes that could be implemented on goalkeepers. There's so much there that I'm going to discuss
So
tomorrow.
when is this all going to be announced to? When is this going global? Tomorrow.
It's probably not going to go global until after the All-Irelands. We're going to hear the full fallout from the exhibition games that are going to be played over the next 6 weeks.
But there's progress. Real
There's
progress here. Love it.
We're going to see these ideas on paper, go from paper to the pitch and see which of them stick, which of them the FRC feel like they should progress with. And we
paper to the pitch to the pod. That's where it's going.
Go.
That's it. The pod will sign off.
I'm enthused. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. It'll be in the papers tomorrow morning. It'll be on Off the Ball Breakfast, a few other bits and pieces. So check it out. And what you should do, if you have any opinion on Gaelic football, is go and fill in that survey, because it is being listened to, it is being read. And if you want to have your say, get out and vote. I hope you voted this weekend, boys. All right, that's it. That is where to leave the football pod this Monday. We'll be back for a members pod. Paddy Andrews, James O'Donogue.
Fair play, Tom.
As always, thanks very much.
Good night, friends.
Catch up during the
See you, lads.
Be good, boys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.